Alright, let's talk about the Sig P365XL. Specifically, we're looking at the recoil assembly today. What is a recoil assembly? A recoil assembly is a guide rod and a recoil spring. The 365XL uses a captured assembly, which means the spring is affixed to the rod. Now, can the spring be removed? Most of them you can. The 365XL is slightly different than most stuff that people see. What we typically see for an aftermarket, which is available, is like a stainless guide rod with a threaded hole, and with that you get a small screw, washer, and stainless guide rod, which allows you to effectively change the spring on your guide rod when it wears out, change it when you want to change the weight of the spring, and tune your pistol. So those are available right now. They're currently selling for about $25. Now this assembly here from Sig, they only sell the guide rod with the spring, do not sell springs, and it comes only with the factory 17 round spring. That's what the XL comes with, 17 pounds. So for about 50 bucks, you get a new rod, which it's a stainless steel rod. It's not really going to wear out on you. Springs do wear out, and springs need to be changed if you're doing something different to your pistol and you need to, tune it for whatever ammunition or you've done to your pistol. Now, what makes the 365L guide rod different is it doesn't have a threaded end. It has this little part on the end to capture the spring. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. It's a stainless rod, has a base plate, and it captures the spring and holds the spring on here. Now, what Sig has done differently than other manufacturers will drill a hole and put internal threads in the guide rod, which typically makes their guide rods a little bit fatter on the aftermarket. You'll find the Sig is slightly smaller in diameter because it doesn't require that internal hole for the retention. Okay, what they've done with the Sig, it's basically, if you look at it like this, they put external threads on the front of the guide rod. This is basically like a bolt with a long shoulder, 2 external threads, has a head on the bolt, and the bolt on the end has a small machined hole. Hopefully you can see it there. And that is for inserting a screwdriver. So you can put a screwdriver in, and that's for turning and installing and removing the spring on the guide rod. So basically this threads onto the spring like a bolt going into a nut. And you can see here I got the original factory spring, which I took off. This one has about 400 rounds on it. The spring's still fine. It's denoted with the yellow paint from Sig saying it's 17 rounds. It's really easy to install. You just start the spring here and you start screwing it in just like this. And you screw that in. Now as it goes down, once the spring makes contact with the base of the guide rods, we're going to start to build tension. We're going to start to preload the spring, and that's when the screwdriver is going to come important, because you're going to need that screwdriver. As the guide rod goes through the end of the spring, it's going to pop out, and then it's just going to rotate. It's not going to pull anymore, and the spring is going to be captured. Now to remove the spring is a little more difficult. You have to lift up this tab on the spring a little bit. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Lift that tab up on top of the guide rod and then basically unthread it. Just like that. So it threads on, threads off, but you do have to get it started on that first coil. You'll need to lift that up and rotate that guide rod to get that on top of the guide rod, and then it simply just unscrews, just like that. And that allows you to buy just a spring. Sig doesn't sell springs, but there's a lot of good companies that make aftermarket springs. I have one here I purchased. This one here is a high quality chrome silicon spring. It's a flat wire spring also. I picked this as an ISMI. This one is 14 pounds. Okay, it's not red because they painted it red. It doesn't come with any paint on it. I put red on it just so when I'm working on the gun, I know which one I have in there at what time. So this one's a 14 pound. This is actually a little nicer made. It's finished on both ends. It looks like Sig clipped off part of the end of the spring to make it easier for them to start and thread it on. But it's exactly the same thing. This is $9. You can get whatever pound you want. You can get the 17 pounds, 15, 16, 14, whatever you want. So they do sell springs for the XL. They typically will put them on their aftermarket guide rods, but you can use it on your factory guide rod. And if for some reason you can't find a spring for a XL, a Glock 19, here's a Glock 19, which also runs a captured spring. This one uses a nut washer also. And they use the exact same internal and outer dimension spring. Actually, the stock spring on a Glock 19 by chance is 17 pounds. These are so similar, it's amazing when you look at the two springs. Even the base is the exact same diameter. The inner and outer diameter on the springs are exactly the same. These are both 17-pound springs. The only difference is the Sig is about 1/8 inch longer. Otherwise, a Glock 19 Gen 3 recoil assembly would drop right into your Sig. That would be a sin. But it's that close. But if you have trouble looking for springs, Glock 19 Gen 3 springs are the same size, and they will fit on your stock guide rod. Now, let's see if I can do this on camera. Let's put this brand new 14-pound spring on the factory guide rod. Like I said, this one has a nice finished end on both sides, which is really nice, but I got to kind of pry that lip open to get it started. So let me see if I can do this on camera or if I'm a complete fail here. Let me see, let me grab this rag so I can get a hold of this, because this normally has a black finish on it, but I polished that guide rod, made it super slick. So I'll need to get that lip started, and then I'll need to just get that lined up so it's ready to start. Grab that spring with my fingernail right there and pull that back just a tiny bit, and there you go. Not too bad. It's a little more difficult taking it off, obviously, because you're under spring tension. You have a 17-pound spring that's compressed, so you just basically take this spring. Like I said, it acts like a bolt. External threads, got a head, got a shoulder, and the spring, it basically mimics internal threads. So it's just like you're screwing a bolt into a nut. So you just screw this down until you make contact. Then it's obviously going to get very difficult to hang onto this and the spring. So that's when you take your screwdriver and you just grab the spring, and then you just start screwing the guide rod, and the guide rod will thread itself right through the spring, getting a little more tension on it. Try to hold that so you can see when that end comes out. We're just about to pop out right here. Let's see if you can see that. Dink, right there, just popped out, and now it's just spinning. So that's all you need to do to change your spring. Now I have a brand new high quality spring, 14-pound on a factory guide rod. I know it's going to fit in the gun perfectly. It looks perfect. Actually, this spring looks much higher quality than the one Sig is using. But all you need tool-wise is 2 small screwdrivers. One to help you get it lifted up to get it over the top of the guide rod, and then one to use in the back, and you simply screw and unscrew. Now to get this off, you would need to line that up, and then let me see if I can line that up a little bit here. Let's see. Yeah, line it up to about like that. I don't know if you can see that. Line it about like that. You need to pry this up on top of the guide rod. Get that lip up on the top of the guide rod, and then basically you just start unscrewing, and it just threads right off. And then you saw me just put it back on camera, just thread it back on. So for $9 you can keep your same guide rod. You can choose to polish it if you want. I like put a little lube on there, polish that up, and put a nicer quality spring on it. But $9 compared to going to Sig and spending almost $50 time you pay tax and shipping for a new recoil assembly. It's a good thing to have, spare parts, Glock 19 springs. You could look at Glock 19 springs, and or you can look at the ISMI chrome silica springs. Like I said, I got that for $9. I got that from sigguide.com, I believe. So if you're looking for XL springs you want to tune, I know comps are really popular right now. So there you go. I guess I can give a little bit of eye candy. Do I have a P365XL? Yes, I do. I'll give you guys a quick glimpse. We're still testing this, but this is my my XL right here. Yeah, it's running a different optic than a lot of folks are running. Different sights, muzzle device, yeah. But that's my Sig P365XL. But like I said, don't be afraid of the guide rod assembly. It's basically just a guide rod with external threads instead of internal threads, and it just screws onto the spring, on and off the spring. It's not that big a deal. Couple small screwdrivers, and I can do it, you can do it, and save yourself a bunch of money, and you can tune your own gun. Thanks for watching.